buenas a todos. Hello everyone. If there's some audio or video issue, just let me know. Okay, 120 users so far. Gorgeous. Okay, let's see if we can get more viewers first, so I might actually answer some questions from the chat first while the emulator compiles. And I don't, oh, gorgeous. Well, we might have some issues here. Nothing too terrible, but issues regardless of everything. So crap, I forgot to recompile the program, so we'll have to cook up something here very fast. Give me a minute. So yeah, we'll talk a bunch of several stuff while the dependencies compile. I've been doing most of the coding lately in my laptop, so my personal PC is kind of late for the party. So copy path and this crap here hasta acá. There we go. Now it should compile. Okay, let's start from the earliest question. Did you make this emulator? Yes, I've modified PCSX2, the well-known PS2 emulator, so yeah. Most of the code base has been made by the PCSX2 team. What I have done so far is emulate all the components that live in the additional board that NAMCO mounts into the system. So yeah, I just did the infrastructure for the arcade side of what NAMCO added into the official arcade PS2 boards. Card reader is not supported yet. Yes, it's not supported. It's kind of complicated. It communicates with the PS2 system in a way that I have never dealt with from reverse engineering perspectives, so it will take a while to deal with it, but don't worry, I get into it. Turn up the sound. Okay, tell me, can you hear me now? I was wondering, it will support card reader. Se escucha abajo. A ver, dame un segundo. Ahí. Okay, there, perfect. It will support card reader, yes, eventually. I will deal with the card reader both from the emulator perspective and from the real hardware perspective when I get one to analyze. Several people have asked me to create homebrew that can interact with it and clean up the usage counter for the cards. As some of you may know, not sure if it's the case for all the games, but at least Dragon Ball Z has account usage. After you use the card 400 times, it dies or something like that. Cristian, no, voy a tratar de hacerlo en inglés, más que nada. Algunas cosas importantes las voy a comentar también en español como en inglés, pero es más que nada en inglés esto, sí. Link mode, you have an idea? Depends on the game. Some game interact with several cabs through network with the UE PCB that goes through USB, and some of them use iLink, which is kind of uncharted territory both for the home perspective and from the emulator perspective. iLink emulation in the base PCSX2 is kinda poor. Actually, there have been some improvements in that regard, mostly by Disco Start Layer, who has been working on a PCSX2 fork for the Konami Python 1, which is kind of the sister platform to the System246. Both platforms are built upon the COH-H PS2 models, dedicated official boards made by Sony for arcade creation. So yeah. Let's read some more questions here. I will like a reader, I just answered that. What language you speak, Paul? I speak English and my native tongue is Spanish. Ridge Racer will have to wait a bit, I think. Mostly issues with CD emulation. And will we need dongle dumps? Yes, you will need. Everything is explained in the repository webpage. This webpage is kinda whip. We will continue to upgrade it, enhance it, add more information to it. So eventually it will have everything that you need here. Regarding games, here's a little explanation for you to understand compared to a retail PS2. The machine holds the BIOS, of course, while in retail PS2 we have everything we need under the CD where the game comes. In arcade hardware it's kinda different for the System246. The game assets, music, levels, and whatever may come in a hard drive or in a DVD, and all the game software comes in the security dongle, which is a special memory card. So you will need both the contents of the media device that that game had and the contents of the security dongle. Here's an explanation. I will leave this webpage on the chat. Here's an explanation on how to dump the dongles and how to get around dumping your game media legally. Okay, let's read more chats. Will it be possible to invert button logic for the pedal in Time Crisis 4 in the future, like how it works in Time Crisis 2? I'm not sure, but yes, everything is open to debate. There's a lot of things that are working, but the design hasn't solidified, to call it in a way. So yeah, we will deal with quality of life features for users regarding the inputs. Don't worry. Soul Calibur 3 can be played both in English and Japanese. That's purely defined by the security dongle version you have. There are Japanese versions, export versions, and North American versions as far as I know. So yeah, it depends on the security dongle that you choose. As far as I know, every System246 game decides its language, its region stuff based on the security dongle contents. I can't remember which one, but most of those games decide that based on a little file down there. I don't know, it is called PCS2AC01, 02 or 03. So yeah, it's up to how the game works. Just make sure to get the proper dongle. Any word on Bloody Road Threads 3? I heard it's broken. Yes, it's broken. We don't know why yet. We have identified the problem. It's not a lack of emulation. For some hellish reason, the game is requesting to read data from the first beginning of the disk, but it's requesting to read 0 sectors of the disk. So basically it's sending a command to read data, then it says it doesn't want to read any data. We don't know why or how should we respond to that, but it's working, yet hangs out there. I will test Tekken games now. Yeah, sure. In a few minutes I will fire up the compilation of the repository with a public release, so you, as soon as I click that, you will have binaries ready to try in between 10 and 15 minutes. So let's see how this goes. Okay, it's still building Qt. Discord server is invalid, by the way. It shouldn't be. Let me check. Let me check a moment. Here's the Discord server. How many arcade exclusives which never got console ports will be available? I'm not sure which one of these are exclusives, but if you go to the repository, I will leave the link right there, right now. Tekken 5 is ready to go. We have the pull request to support it right here. It will be merged as soon as I release as soon as I make a public release, so in a few minutes. Yeah. A small recap of what games are working. Yes, progress has exploded a lot. We have 34% of compatible games from the overall platform. Let me check how much is that. So we have 19 games marked as working in this page. We have Vampire Knight, Technic Beat, Tekken 4, Smash Court Pro Tournament, Soul Calibur 2, completely playable for the first time, available with Conquest mode outside of original hardware, Time Crisis 3, this one, Gundam Zeta. Well, my pronunciation is terrible, so you will understand when I'm not reading all the game titles. Capcom Fighting Jam, Cobra. This one is booting into Attract, but the input system is not coded yet, so you can interact with the game. Same for Saft. Super Dragon Ball Zeta should be playable. Muscle Grand Prix 2, Soul Calibur 3, of course, I have tested that game. Time Crisis 4 is working. It's the only game from the Super 256. It should work on release. Yu Yu Hashuko, Quiz and Variety, Muscle Grand Prix 2, Sengoku Basara X, Fate Unlimited Codes, and Gundam vs Gundam Next. So yeah, we have a bunch of games ready. Light gun support, dual guns. I'm not going to answer light gun stuff for now because I'm not the one doing it. Tovarich, who's helping me a lot with the emulator, will probably deal with all the light gun concerns of everyone. No input for any racing games yet. No, not yet. It's kinda different because most racing games, as far as I know, if they are like ridgeracerV, they don't go through JBS inputs, they go through the UART of the system. Will this work 100% on the Steam Deck? I don't know. I can only answer for Windows platforms, which is where I've been compiling and testing so far. Linux, macOS, and other stuff like Steam Deck is out of my scope really, but you are free to test and report how it goes. The build system includes compilations for everything that official PCSX2 supports. Let me recheck that. pull request triage, release. Let me check this. We have Linux Flatpak, Linux AppImage, Windows, and the generic macOS builds. Will you have Chihiro as soon as you finish the emulator? No, I only do PS2 related stuff as a hobby. Bloody Roar 3 needs to be worked on more due to the internal stuff it ran on was older than the final System246. The problem with Bloody Roar 3, just like with ridgeracerV and other games, it's not the internal hardware, it's the software. Most of the drivers needed for the System246 games all live on the security dongle. They are not provided by Sony because, of course, the NAMCO board is completely done by NAMCO. Sony had nothing to do with it beyond selling the PS2 board. So there are a lot of things on the driver design that were not consolidated until Tekken 4 approximately. So let me check. Here in Tekken 4 you start to see the same design of drivers since it until the last game of the platform, but the ones prior to Tekken 4 have a kinda different design, so it's not that simple. Not because it's harder, but because I don't have a reverse engineered driver to reference when analyzing and checking out for what should I do. Okay, so it is compiling and it should be ready soon. Let's see, Tovarich is in the chat for lag and questions. Okay, I want to see Tekken 4 as the arcade version was not working well for a few years. Yes, I will show it as soon as the emulator ends up compiling. Sorry for that. In my YouTube channel there's already a recording and some of my testers have already shown high resolution Tekken 4 gameplay. Full lag and support, dual lag and later. Only Vampire Knight has 2 players, so good to know. Okay, Time Crisis 3 and 4 requires you connect 2 PCs for 2 player, which can be done soon. Communication between cabs, as soon as I said before, it's not done yet. It depends on the game. So yeah, not for the initial release, but it will work someday. I see Flatpaks and AppImage, which means it's playable on deck. Yeah. Compatible macOS, Linux and Windows. Everybody gets to enjoy the games. I've been playing a test build of the emulator and both Time Crisis and Cobra the arcade all crash after playing for a while. Trying played each game multiple times and still crashed. Is that fixed? Well, Tovarich tried both games and supposedly worked perfect for him. So yeah, I don't know about that one. Updates on Tekken 5 Dark Resurrection. I haven't tested that one yet. Maybe this PR deals with it. I don't know. Okay, so there's a little detail I wanted to mention too, which is regarding the BIOS. You will need to get a BIOS legally from your own System246. Well, you know the drill. For getting a BIOS, you might need a hacked security dongle to run a modified version of BIOS drain, which is right here. Take the latest one. This will dump the BIOS and identify some stuff from your console. To make sure the BIOS is correct, you will notice that on the BIOS list, compatible arcade BIOSes will be identified with these words, COH-H. It has to say this. If it says a generic region from retail consoles, that BIOS doesn't work. Arcade BIOSes are very different to retail BIOSes, not in design but in regard of the Sony software development kit used to make them. So arcade games are incompatible with retail BIOSes, and retail games are incompatible with arcade BIOSes. So just check for this COH-H under the version tab, and then the system will also be able to identify what system does that BIOS belong to. As you can see, I have all the versions here. It will identify System246, Rack C, System256, and all of the older boards which use official Sony boards have the same signature, so it will only be able to tell you it is from an original COH-H board from Sony. In this case, this BIOS comes from a COH-H 31000. But just take care for this. It has to be an arcade BIOS. Okay. NAMCO 147. System 147 is very different in designs. Unlike the System246, it's a radically different platform. Actually, we could discuss if System 147 should be considered as a PS2, since it's only carrying its processors, and it lacks a lot of elements that are an important part of the identity of the platform, like for example the Mechacon or the DSP. Since it's a very different design, it would be a problem to have both platforms working under the same emulator. However, there is some hope. You either cope with Play emulator or you can try Iris. Iris emulator is an open source project done by another Argentinian developer. He has, let me see if it's somewhere here. He has done some, he did some, I can find the words. He did some preliminary support for the System 147. Actually, the file should be somewhere in here, but yeah, this project, standalone project, this is not a fork of PCSX2 or any kind of emulator. This will probably be the go-to emulator for System 147 in the future, when he gets into it. Let's see if this has compiled. Oh, we are closer. We are getting very close. Okay. We greatly appreciate you and Tovarich. Amazing work. Thank you. Well, thank you for being there and playing with the emulator. If it wasn't for you guys, this wouldn't be happening. If there was no reason to make it, of course. So yeah. You've been asking for this since a very long time, and well, there was not really a reason to not do it. Playing with other player via Parsec Team Remote should work just fine. I'm not sure about that one. I think 147 is working on Iris. Yes, it probably will. 148, I don't know, because that one has an overclocked emotion engine. Should we add a drive controls? It should support One Gun Midnight, One Gun ARM, ridgeracerV, Driver 3, MotoGP, and MotoGP, you know. Drive controls will eventually be added. Saludos. No llegó a ver bien quién es. Drive controls is planned, all of them just needed time. I can use the BIOS from MAME. Not sure. Give it a shot. Is it supported? It is supported, so yes. I will check them. I'm not sure if I missed any question. Okay, we are already half an hour in there, so yeah, I guess it's time to fire up this thing. Don't save. Okay, GitHub Workflows. Release cut new. Are we working? No, that's why it's taking so long. Well, it doesn't matter. I will compile on this branch and deal with it on the other one. Not sure how many changes I'm behind from it. Let me check a few things. I'm going to fire up the compilation right now, so in 15 minutes the program should be public. Devil. But I don't want to compare it with this. Pull request. Quiero comparar Devil con Master. It's going backwards. More commits. Let me check a few things, and I'll be back with you in a few seconds. Code of conduct. Yeah, it should be okay. Well, doesn't matter. Okay, I'm going to commit it directly from GitHub, and that's it. GitHub workflows. Release cut new. Modified from here, and it should say draft false. Workflow dispatch or true. Announce release. Well, now it should work, so let's try. Directly to master. I don't care about the rules for this meaningless thing, and now it should be compiling. So in a few minutes you will be able to download it and give it a try. Can we configure keyboard mouse controls? Yes. Default settings for fighting games are kinda hooked up into the PS2 inputs. So the existing infrastructure for normal PS2 inputs, it's automatically translated into whatever your game needs for the JAMA inputs. So it should work out of the box. What emulator would be a good alternative to DuckStation for a System 147 fork, since DuckStation repo owner doesn't want forks? Isn't DuckStation a PS1 emulator? Because 147, this NAMCO system is based on PS2. The latest one, actually. 147 and 148, which is the overclocked version. The newest motherboards have printed copyright 2014, so they outlived the retail PS2. Compilation of PCSX2 is essentially the same as compiling PCSX2 in terms of instructions. Yeah, it's the same instructions. The only difference is that it will compile more source files because it's also dealing with our arcade stuff. How to get arcade games like Tekken 4 ISO on arcade version. I can't help you with that one. You need to find them yourself. You know, for the legal drill. You testing any driving game? No, just fighting games for now. Taking 5, still waiting. Yeah, you're right. You are completely right, and I actually forgot to mark the release, skip actions, and actually trigger the workflow with your marriage. So yeah, let's go ahead and fire up this thing. Approve. Merge. I'm not sure if I should stop the other one or this one will wait. We shall see. Okay. Only fork I seen with DuckStation was System 12. I don't know much about PS1. Can't wait. Well, 15 minutes more, pal. You've already waited a bunch of years, I bet. Where can we find a game or ROM? Again, for legal reasons and piracy and stuff, I can't tell you. So it's up to you to find out. Maybe this is beyond your scope, but is there really a dump of Tekken 5 1.0? I think the oldest on MAME redump is 5.1. That is also the oldest on Play. I'm really not sure about that one. Nice. Wonder if we can use that fork as a base. Not sure what you mean there. Swan Station is your alternative. Does Swan Station have a standalone version? Steam development didn't know more done. Will it support both the input and X input controller and joysticks? Whatever PCSX2 is already supporting in terms of inputs should work out of the box with what we have done so far for fighting games. Will there be builds or just source code and instruction? There will be builds. During the development stage and until right now, we didn't want to toss around binaries for the common user because, of course, this is an alpha emulator. A lot of our stuff is work in progress or will need to be refactored, changed, updated in many ways in the future. But since we got a bunch of games working out of the box, we decided to release. To mention a simple example, with COH-H, we found some timing issues with the PCSX2 emulator that made the game format or damage its own virtual memory card image because of some security system on the platform. Well, to put it short, on real hardware, the machine resets itself once every 5 minutes if you don't authenticate the security dongle, the security memory card. So the game loads up a driver that sets up a thread that calls the memory card authentication routine once every minute, and that was clashing with the game trying to access its drivers on its setup phase, and that clashing combined with PCSX2 timing issues caused memory card corruptions. Imagine if we threw that to the public, to the general public, and more examples. So yeah, now it's kind of working. We haven't seen any catastrophic bug or issue, so it should be relatively safe for the common user. That's why this is happening now and not a month ago, to say something. Gerardo, buenas, quiero preguntarte algo, Matías. Sí, pregunta, no hay problema. Thank you for all your hard work. Is it based on latest PCSX2 code, by the way? Yes, actually we did a little merge from upstream very recently. Let me check the parent fork, which has another parent, which is the official PCSX2. Bueno, justo ahora vas a tardar en cargar. Qué puntería que tengo yo. Right now we are only 27 commits behind upstream PCSX2. And of course, merging upstream in a project like PCSX2 is a pain in the ass, so we will try to do it only when there's an interesting commit regarding, I don't know, graphics enhancements, stability changes, or whatever that we consider that PCSX2x6 users should have. So it will be relatively up to date, and we will update it if there's a reason to do so. There won't be periodic updates, but we will deal with it, don't worry. Does it support dual route input or relative aiming for light guns? COH-H is the one who can answer that. Interesting. Is there any tutorials on how to set up the arcade System246 in your channel? If you mean the real hardware, I have a bunch of videos showing up hacked dongles. If you mean the emulator, We will do it right now on stream as soon as this thing finish up compilation of the emulator. I had a few issues and I forgot to compile the program in advance to this update. Actually, I think it just finished, so we might try it right now. Raw input support for light gun will very likely come later. I've already done the code for it. Only Vampire Knight 2 is 2 players, so yeah. For only one game, I think you can wait a few weeks or days. You've been already waited at least a decade for this. Sorry if this question could be controversial, but is there any reason why the official PCSX2 team never wanted to touch PS2 based arcade hardware? Well, my theory is that they hate arcade hardware altogether. I got in contact with them some time ago, and why did this thing stop? I talked with them back then. Let me rephrase. I talked with them some time ago about it, and they didn't want to do anything with it. The common excuse from them is that they need Magic Gate to emulate this, and they don't want it because it's a legal danger. Well, the thing is that you don't need Magic Gate for System246 and Konami Python 1, which are the platforms based on the official PS2 arcade boards. On real hardware you do need it, but on an emulator you don't really need it. Why? Because all the System246, well, actually not the System246, the special PS2 inside it, all of its security is combined. Let me delete this. So we have inside your PS2 there's a chip called the Mechacon, and there's a chip called the Syscon, and then you have your memory card. These three components are the basis of the arcade PS2 security. The Syscon, as I explained before, the Syscon will reboot itself, will reboot the system once every 5 minutes. The Mechacon has the capability of resetting that countdown if it authorizes the security dongle. The games, they don't have practically any security, at least on the System246. So, since we are on an emulator, this is emulated, and the security protocol between these two is also emulated. So, the security crumbles alone. There's no need to implement anything about security. Actually, as I mentioned a few moments later, we have to make the emulator detect and shut down the thread from the security module that performs this check. So there was never a real use for Magic Gate. Of course, accessing the dongle was very hard until 2021, when the Mechacon was cracked and we found out that the newer Mechacons from later PS2 after 2003, they all have the arcade keys inside, so it allowed damping and analysis of the dongles to a deeper level. Before that, before 2021, Magic Gate could have been a valid excuse, but that was 5 years ago. There's no excuse at all. Does it support CHD? Yes, it supports CHD. For DVD games, you have to use the command create DVD. For hard drives, I can't remember. Tovarich will tell us now on the comments. A ver, Gerardo, las versiones del OPL 2244 hasta el día 24 de mayo se congelan en inicio. ¿Sabes cómo reportar el problema? No, si se te sigue congelando y eliminaste la configuración de OPL, algo hiciste mal. Si no, reportar en el Discord oficial. Se me pierde. Muchas gracias, Matías, tu trabajo es impecable. Saludos desde Córdoba, Argentina. Saludos para vos desde acá de Buenos Aires. Sorry for so many questions, but will this fork ever be merged into the mainline codebase? Never. Doesn't matter in how many years. Never. Just asking about plans. It will never happen because they hate me and I don't want anything to do with them. So yeah, not happening. PCSX2 devs claim they didn't kick you because of Magic Gate. Personally, a conflicted bunch. It's kind of complicated because then you have things like this. Let me check for a moment. PCSX2, Magic Gate. No, Magic Gate no. System246. Like a month ago, where is it? Well, now my emulator is filling up more of the higher elements. This is a 2020 request about System246. Of course, they always come up with the lame excuse of Magic Gate. Then they come up with the excuse that it impulses piracy. And then it ends up with this. As stated above, Magic Gate is required. Not true, and this is something we are going to go near for potential legal reasons. I'm sure somebody will fork it and do it, and they are welcome to do so. Then I come in last month mentioning that I'm making a Magic Gate-less fork of this emulator that will deal with 246 systems. So basically, I'm relieving them of the question about supporting System246, and they go ahead and ban me. So take your own conclusions. As I said, I don't want anything to do with them. I only care about this emulator, which is open source, which is a good thing. And as open source software, we will use it, enhance it, and that's why we are delivering here to you System246 emulation. Let's see if the compilation ended. It's waiting for the Windows builds. Oh, well, Windows was usually faster than Linux on my tests. So we have okay, here we are. Version 0008 already has binaries to download. And 010 is compiling right now with the Tekken 5 fix. So there you go. Have fun. Okay. Here to thank you for all the work you've been doing for this to be possible. It's a pleasure. Sorry if this has been asked before. Is Steel Drive 3 on Konami Python 2 a possibility for your fork? No. No, not at all. To keep this clear about arcade platforms, you have 4 main platforms for arcade PS2. System246 and its subsequent evolutions, System256 and Super 256, are the main target of my emulator, as clearly stated on the About tab of the project, which you can see almost everywhere related to this link. Then you have System147. I've already mentioned that Iris can partially deal with it. Then we have Python 1. Python 1 is currently on development by Disco Stars Layer. Where is his PCSX2 fork right here? Is dealing with Python 1 games, which is the hardest and most complex platform for from all of these 4, because all the I/O is done with Firewire and it's very complicated. And then we have the Python 2. The Python 2 is basically a retail PS2 caged in a box with a lot of I/O and stuff plugged into the USB and very funny things. Like, for example, it shuts down and turns off the PS2 by using an optic fiber cable strapped with duct tape to the PS2 IR receiver. So yeah, my fork is only for System246, 56 and Super 256. The rest of the arcade PS2 platforms are either dealt with, partially dealt with, or work in progress. Okay. Thank you from Brazil, we love you. It's a pleasure. Also, I would add that Magic Gate keys got leaked ages ago as far as I know. Arcade keys were first obtainable 2021 with the jailbreak of the Mechacon with Mechadump, which then caused the creation of Mechapon, the program everyone knows. That makes the security CPU from retail PS2s more permissive. The project that created this project is responsible for giving us the arcade keys free to use today. I was told there's a new PS2 emu for Android. I don't know. Sony is not going after the Magic Gate supported PSX2 branch. No, there are a bunch of open source forks with it, and there's also another thing. Externalized Magic Gate keys should be enough to protect projects because the cryptography system is very simple. It's just simple des, triple des, and another protocol I can't remember right now. Common protocols. The only copyrighted stuff is the keys. So yeah. Python 2 already has a fork when it comes to PCSX2. And this, oh yeah, and Disco's fork can also do some Python 2 games as far as I know. But yeah, you should read this big readme and check it out for yourself. Just say Cobra gameplay. By Disco Star Ranger. Isra just corrected me. Python 1. Anyone else only see 009 on GitHub? You should everyone see everything. Let's try it out with incognito mode. Everything is there. Version 10 is already out, so you have the Tekken 5 fixes already available. I will update the table with the compatibility right now. In a moment. So yeah. Cool, this finished up. So let's try something else. CLS compile. Now I'm compiling the emulator, so in 1 or 2 minutes we should have gameplay. Python 1 IO board is an R3000 based system which talks to the PS2 over FireWire. Yes, exactly that. Everything goes through FireWire. The only thing beyond this is the actual official Sony security dongle, but it's the same for every game and it's just hooked up into the memory card port and forgotten inside. Felicitaciones desde Portugal, gracias por tu trabajo. Gracias a vos, Nuno, un beso, qué bueno que te pudiste pasar. Felicitaciones, Mati, con tu trabajo, acabas de descubrir un hueco de décadas en la escena de la emulación arcade. Gracias a ustedes. Descargando PCSX2, downloading right now. Thank you for our fork. Never mind, it's fixed and refreshed. So what's the latest version number? Latest version number right now is, where is it? Releases. What the hell is going on? Well, I don't know why. Ah, these are draft builds. I have to get rid of them. Sorry. When I tested the compilation system, I made it use draft builds to test if it works and don't push binaries to the public, of course. Now let me get rid of all of this crap, and this one, version 0010 with the Tekken fix support. Never mind, it's fixed. So what is the number? I confused Magic Gate keys with CS Blu-ray keys, sorry. Will there be super chats and donations on your channel? Right now I'm only taking donations on PayPal, but I will have to eventually add more methods of donation. Just to get one thing clear about my donations, because I've been accused without proof in the past, everything that you donate me will end up invested in arcade hardware. Actually, I got my first System246 in October 2024 thanks to a donation. I had some money, but the bid went too far, and Frostwolf, another collector and seller, helped me out with $50, and I got the first machine. So yeah, almost all of my projects and development regarding System246 comes out partially or completely from donations. I'm actually looking for the expansion board for the card readers to deal with the card reader games. Will it be compatible with output software so you use slides and recoil? I think so, eventually. Serial output and recoil is planned for later, not now. Gracias, Nail. Te pasaste por acá, loquita. Si siguen jugando, después me aparezco cuando muera el stream este. Okay, so it's finishing up compilation. We will have gameplay in a few minutes. So let's start talking about the juicy part, which is how to set up games. Let's get back to the documentation, and okay, as I told you, you will need a BIOS. It needs to be properly identified as an arcade BIOS, and then you will need to dump your games. You need to dump the media, either DVD, CD, or a hard drive, and your game software. DVD, CD, or hard drive are accepted in their natural formats, that is ISO for disks or raw dumps for hard drives, and both can be compressed with the appropriate commands to CHD. That's very important. Actually, if you compress your disks with the appropriate command, which is create a DVD or create CD, I think, it will weigh less than the common CHD files that you see from the Play emulator. And then you need a security dongle. If you have a jailbroken retail PS2, you can use memory card annihilator to get it. If you have a PC and the PS3 memory card adapter, you can use PS3's MCA tool to dump them. And from a System246, you can't do dumps because of restrictions with how the Mechacon deals with the dongles. Well, for the game media, you read here, and that's it. Did it finish compiling? Yes, we have a working build right now. Let's see. There we go. Okay. Give me 1 sec. Well, there was an issue here. You should be watching it now. Oh shit, don't tell me that I've been explaining everything with the black screen. Crap. Yeah, forget it. Ay, Dios mío, por favor. Okay, let's recap very quick. Not sure why. I'm not sure why the hell this is happening right now to me. Well, bien, la puta que lo parió. Qué lindo. Bueno, estamos acá de vuelta. Welcome back. ay, God. Okay. Back to the deal. Your game setting files must look like this. I want to die right now. All that explanation to a blank screen. Anyways, okay. You have the game section, you have the data section. On your game section, you put the name, the game ID, and the platform settings. Game ID is very important to apply automatic patches. Platform is very important for System246 and Super 256 to apply appropriate overclock to your games. The subdir tells it to look for additional files on a folder next to the settings file. So you will put here your bootloader, your security dongle if you want it or not. It doesn't have to be here, and the game ISO. And the settings RAM will also be generated here. So yeah, I don't know why it happened, but it happened. OBS changed scenes alone to a blank scene. I don't know why. I'm very angry right now. So yeah, you have the ELF entry. This is your bootloader. You have the dongle entry. This is your memory card, your security memory card file name. It goes into documents, PCSX2x6 mem cards. It goes right here. It will be mounted automatically. You don't have to deal with PCSX2 memory card settings tabs at all. You don't have to use it. Everything is dealt from here. Dongle entry setups the security dongle, and card is only used by Soul Calibur 2 for the conquest card. Media source tells the file name, game.iso in this case, in this example, and media tells the media type, CD, DVD, or hard drive. This has to match what your game expects to find. If it's a hard drive game, don't put DVD because it will start using for reading and writing sectors of 4 times the size it should be. And this the other way around, the opposite. So yeah, it's very important to keep it on a proper value. The compatibility game list has a bunch of them. What kind of media did they use? But you might have to check it out by yourself. Yeah, okay, after you have everything right here set up, and you have the bootloader, the media source file in the appropriate folder, and the security dongle on the mem cards folder, it should be good to go. Of course, understand that the games may take a bit longer to boot compared to retail games, because of course they are not made with fast boot times in mind. Okay, I don't know why this is happening right now. It seems like it didn't change the dongle. No, I know why this is happening. Card 0. Let's try this one. I'm very angry about what just happened right now with with the stream. Oh man, I lost so many views. Oh wait, it went back. I don't care anymore. Yeah, you're all back. So yeah, now it should boot back. Okay, I don't know why this is happening. Okay, conquest mode out of the blue is no longer detecting my card. I will try to deal with it later. But as you can see on my YouTube channel, there are recordings of it working. I really don't know what the hell just happened there. Now, let's try something. Let's try a bunch of test mode stuff. Bookkeeping. No, I don't want bookkeeping. I want data clear, all clear, and exit. This should attempt to format the conquest card if it's actually a valid card. It should be. I recorded conquest mode in this computer, so it should work. Please tell me it works. Well, I don't know why. I will eventually deal with it.
Soul Calibur 2.
Okay.
Versus Talim. She rides the wind freely, singing her wing songs.
Give up already.
Don't worry, Talim. Believe in yourself.
Battle 1. Fight.
Don't move.
Well, as you can see, it works well. Actually, compared to my last recording, you are not longer seeing that messed up vertical lines, because the fix for that is already included in a database for Soul Calibur 2. And we will continue evolving. Conquest card work here. Yeah, it would seem like mine is messed up in some way. Actually, let me check that. De vuelta al escritorio, desktop. Let me check it out real quick because I'm angry with it. Okay, it's here. It's here. What is this? Ah, yeah, this is the format signature. So this card has been formatted by the game. Then why the hell it's not working? I'm really not sure. I'll have to check it later. Yeah, anyways, okay. Can't wait to play Cobra. Will it be possible to use the native resolution on a CRT monitor? Resolution stuff will kind of be difficult because on a real system 246 the video output is going out from the PS2 straight into the JVS controller, and I don't know if that chip is dealing with the video in some way, applying some effect or something that would alter image compared to what you see on a real system 246. Where can I find the BIOS? I can't help you with that one. I'm awake. Parry Master Hana. I don't know. I haven't tested the game since we changed the inputs, so I started pressing what would work on on the original retail PS2 joystick inputs, because Soul Calibur 2 is one of the very few games that supports that, and I found out that everything is changed. I have to check it. Can I wire up a real coin door to accept coins? Not right now, but I guess we could find a way to support that. I don't know. That's pretty obvious. Just configure the inputs. 488 31 kilohertz. Yeah, by default the PCSX2 good to know. So the only thing between the PS2 and the monitor is a converter from VISA sync on green to RGBS. Creating a condor. Yeah. Just like the Play emulator, this PCSX2x6 emulator will by default set every deep switch to on. The video deep switches, of course. The test mode switch remains off unless you bind a key to it and press it. So yeah, it will be 31 kilohertz when possible. I mean, it won't have an actual effect on the output, but many games check if that deep switch is flipped on and change stuff on their video due to it. So yeah, it should have an influence. That sits on the NAMCO board and has a switch to turn the video output on off to hide the BIOS screen from curious people. Well, actually the BIOS screen can be seen on real hardware if for some reason the game fails after the JBS firmware has been uploaded to the Toshiba TLCS 900 chip. A really quick example of this could be you turn off a game, it starts working, and you pull off the security dongle, and in a matter of 3 or 5 minutes you will see through the VGA ports the original BIOS error string message. Maybe it can be easy for many people to at least put the BIOS and the arcade game also in your official website you made. No, that's piracy. We can't do that. Yeah, exactly. It's displayed only when faults happen. Actually, it's kind of a smart thing because it tells developer that if they hear the blue screen and they can't see it, it means that whatever failed before JBS firmware upload, and that really narrows down the list of culprits. So yeah, it's kind of a smart move. So yeah, let's put Soul Calibur 2 aside and talk about, for example, let's change graphics settings a bit. ¿Dónde estás? Graphics settings, render 3 times native. 1080 should be, yeah, I'll leave it like that. So let's try Tekken 4, which was the other working game from my tests. This is the second game that got working, I think. What are you doing? There we go.
Welcome to the King of Iron, Kazuya Mishima.
お前か
Round 1. Fight.
I can't really find what button should I press. It's all mixed up since I last tried. So yeah, you get the idea. It works. The upscaling works nice. If the Python 2 board does not receive a USB handshake from the PS2, it unlocks video output after 5 minutes so people can see it's faulty. It would be nice if, in the future, we could send the native resolution since we currently have CRT emu driver, which allows us to send this signal to the VGA port. Yeah, maybe. Kind of random question, but is there still some 2x6 games available on arcades in Argentina, if there are still arcades? As far as I know, System246 never made it here. In all of my years searching for it, I've been aware of the existence of the arcade PS2 since like 2023. I've only seen one cab that could have been a System246. That was some Time Crisis 3 cab in Facebook Marketplace, but the seller never answered, so I could never actually see the insides. Was it Time Crisis 3? Yes, Time Crisis 3. There was a Time Crisis 3 cab in Marketplace, but the seller never answered, so I had to get mines from abroad. Keyboard mashing sound, yeah. my microphone is right next to the keyboard, sorry. Let's put it aside a bit. Okay. Yeah, maybe for you guys from first world countries it's more obvious, but here in Latin America countries there's piracy is very common. Yeah, in South America these games were only in expensive shopping mall arcades. For example, I've owned the PS2 since I was 10 or 9, I can't remember exactly. Around 2008, 2009. I was like, no, 2010. I was 7 or 8 years old, and I got my hands on my first original PS2 game when I was 21. So yeah, piracy for in here is kind of extended. ¿Algún argento en el chat? Sí, seguro tiene que haber otro. No te creas que estás solo. Y si no, bueno, estoy yo. Okay. Now. Let's try Soul Calibur 3. Soul Calibur 3 is kinda interesting because, as you can see, all this blue text is being printed through the Emotion Engine serial port. So it's always nice to see a game with good feedback.
Soul Calibur 3. Versus Plan. The fighters face a group.
I'll play with you.
Battle 1. Fight.
I can't find the buttons. Yeah, no, I can't find the buttons. I need to check out what has been changed because I'm really lost on this one. The most easy is to talk on Discord. I wonder, how did you translate your chat in real time to Spanish? I'm really asking myself the same question, because the last stream I did, that wasn't happening. Of course, I don't get many comments in English, but yeah, I don't know what's making this happen. I don't think it's Brave. How demanding is this emulator on a potato PC compared to Play emulator? It's better. It's already better in this early release, mostly because PCSX2 is doing low-level emulation and Play is doing a lot of high-level emulation. And well, of course, PCSX2 has a lot of work behind it from decades. Play is a younger emulator. I do understand in this situation of piracy rules, but most of the people are no clue when we can find BIOS and games for this emulator. Yeah, I can't help you with that one. It's you'll have to do some Google foo. So yeah. Yeah, Soul Calibur 3 has been working since very early phases of the stages of the development process. Google is your friend. Exactly. Soul Calibur 3 was a PS2 game, not an arcade. That one is actually a remix for the PS2 version. Could be possible. What PC specs you running this on? It's right here. I have an Intel I really forgot the CPU. 11th Gen i5 100/400F, 16 gigs of RAM, and I have an RX 6650 XT. But my integrated graphics laptop could run Soul Calibur 2 perfectly. I didn't try upscaling that much, but it worked really well. By the way, I found out through one of the videos showing the emulator's progress is that Soul Calibur 3 arcade version does not have THX like its console version. I have to wait for a Linux game config guide. It's exactly the same. Exactly the same file. You can put it wherever you want, and you just add the location where you have your AC game files into the emulator list. Or you can always drag and drop, execute it via command line parameters. I mean, starting up the emulator, passing the file as a parameter, and it will work out of the box. As you can see, I just drag and drop and the game is already starting. Oh, also a very important thing when reporting issues. System246 games have much more logging than retail games. So in your enable the terminal if you want to report an issue, or the register window, whatever you want. Even better, the file register, the file log. Sorry, I'm confusing myself with the translation. And on the debugging tab, make sure to enable the Emotion Engine and IOP terminals. Why? Because if the game has some debugging messages, error messages, or whatever coming up from the Emotion Engine serial port or from standard output, if these two are not ticked, that won't land in your log, and when you report, I will have less information to answer. So always try to keep up those tabs, those two options enabled for reporting. Yeah, don't disable auto update. The updater program should not be included with the latest releases you've been seeing. Let me check that. Let me check. But the updater from Windows should not be part of the formal release for the program. Let me check. 24 megabytes is actually very low. I expected it to be 50 like the Linux app image. I don't know why it's taking so long to download. Come on. There we go. The updater program should not be here. Actually, it's not here. We haven't decided if we will modify this the self update feature, or we will keep it this way because of the big ass JSON file that the emulator reads to find out if it needs updates. So this is still a debate, if we will add it or not. Yes, it's pretty much the same as Windows, just setting up files. Only thing that might change if you actually use them is path / of core. For you it will be this, for me it will usually be this in Windows. But beyond that, the file is the same, the ways of running it are the same. Of course, case sensitivity may be an issue if you are using pre-generated AC game files from somewhere else, you download on the internet or whatever. But overall, the process should be very straightforward. There shouldn't be too much confusion with that one. Everything works great. Of course, the glitches of Tekken 5 Dark Resurrection, but everything else works flawlessly. I'm not going to test out the Lycan games. Cool. Okay, gotta go now. Congrats and thank you again. Thank you for stopping by. Spectre Rabbit, don't die on us now. 5090. I cannot X3D. Convert the test simulator to games. Yeah, give it a shot. What? Dude, thank you. And the other devs for the hard work for preserving well-crafted games through this emulator. I have an arcade one-up cabinet with an Android PCB. What emulators you recommend? I don't really know much about emulators. As I have said, most of the stuff I do is always tied to the PS2. Actually, I started learning programming with the PS2 and everything. So territory outside of this amazing console is practically unknown territory to me. You ready to work already? Nice man, you managed to get Gundam games working. Thank you for your work. I want to test Tekken 5 Dark Resurrection, but I don't know how without BIOS. Please help. Again, I can't help you with that one. Just like with official PCSX2, try out what happens if you ask for a BIOS on the Discord server on GitHub or on GitHub. You will get muted or something. Same deal here. We can't help you out with piracy. Gundam games, yeah, you could try that. Some of them should be working. Gundam. This game 17 is working, marked as working, so it should do the job. And 52, Gundam versus Gundam next. These two should be working. BIOS is easy. It's the other stuff and that stuff. Yeah, finding the correct game files can be a bit tricky because it's more complex than retail PS2 because there are several files. But once you get the hang on it, it will be very easy. And I already imagine that the community will start creating generic versions of these setting files, so that you just unpack some zip and it has the AC game files and the folders for every game, and the only thing you have to do is put the hard drive or disk image on the folder and the security dongle image on the memcards folder and kick it up and play. But of course you can't expecting to be everything to be flawless, ready to use and perfect, since the emulator released less than 2 hours ago. Give it time. Everything will eventually get in good shape. It just takes time. No, data card features have not been dealt with. They use a communication system which is CIF CMDs, which I have never dealt with in any of my reverse engineering adventures with PS2 related stuff. So I first should learn how to deal with that and then give it a try on checking out how to analyze what the game sends and receives from the card. Was any AI involved in this project? Very few AI was used, and it was used mostly for icons. The main program icon has been made by Varion, who makes most of the artwork for my important projects, just like Elfbinder or the program to create clones of the Soul Calibur 2 Conquest card. The only AI generated elements on the emulator are the icons for the System246 and System256 cabs, which are used both to identify games and to identify BIOSes. So yeah, just that. Una explicación si tengo el juego en CHD. Si tenés el juego en CHD, tenés que setear estas configuraciones y poner el juego en CHD en la configuración que corresponde, que es esta de acá. Vos lo único que tenés que decirle al juego es si la imagen es DVD, CD o disco duro. Después, si es una ISO o un CHD, el emulador lo detecta solo. Esto es lo importante porque es para la emulación de bajo nivel, que sepa el medio original, pero después mandar el CHD de una que tiene que entrar. Mati, ¿qué te llevó a querer emular estas placas arcade de Play 2, teniendo en cuenta que por ahí eras muy chico cuando salieron? Prácticamente todo lo que hago relacionado a Play 2, bueno, lo hago por el motivo de que es la consola con la que crecí. Estos arcades, si bien son arcades y yo mucho contacto con el mundo arcade de chico no tuve, siguen siendo a fin de cuentas Play 2. De hecho, los primeros dos modelos del System246 llevan una placa de Play 2 oficial hecha por Sony adentro. Así que bueno, aparte era una plataforma muy relegada a la que nadie le daba mucha bolilla, así que eventualmente en donde pude ponerle las manos encima a una de estas máquinas empecé a hacer experimentos y a trabajar. Hoy por hoy hay un montón de mejoras, modificaciones de calidad de vida para los poseedores de las máquinas reales que las hice yo. Es una plataforma muy relegada y que los pocos que le dieron bolilla normalmente lo hacían para sacar plata. Yo de acá no saco nada, o sea, ustedes me donan y yo eso lo reinvierto en hardware que uso para seguir en proyectos. En algún momento, obviamente, cuando abandone esto, seguramente venderé algunas de las máquinas, pero en líneas generales no. Esto lo hago porque me gusta la Play 2, me encanta todo lo relacionado, es la consola con la que crecí, y estos proyectos, bueno, ayudan a que la gente siga sacándole provecho a esta consola tan maravillosa. Check the community commit log. My name is there. This is amazing. Does Cobra work? Yes, Tovarich tested a lot. Ah, zarpadísimo. Sí, negro. Funciona. Acá el Tovarich ya se los probó todos los juegos del iPhone. Están todos funcionando. Bushing Ryukat. This emulator will deal with any kind of input that normal PCSX2 handles for joysticks. So yeah, whatever kind of input you have, if it works on regular PCSX2, it should work here too. Anyone has another question? Which games you looking to play? I have the OG PCSX2 running on my Steam Deck. Perfect. Ah, no, that's not for me. Uf, tremens. ¿Ese archivo que mostraste se puede editar libre? Otra pregunta. ¿Cómo hiciste funcionar los juegos de arcade en un PlayStation 2 y el control original sin usar la IO de Namco? Yo el único juego con el que estuve trabajando en hardware real fue con el Soul Calibur 2 para analizar el modo conquista. Tuve la suerte de que es uno de los pocos juegos que lee joystick de Play 2 comunes en todos los puertos. En todos los elementos del juego. Menú de prueba, menú principal. Entonces, obviamente le tuve que conectar una de esas placas que emula JBS, pero sí, en líneas generales es eso. What are the keys mapped to access service menus? Keys for service menus. If you go to controls, JVS controls, you can assign here player 1 service, player 2 service, coin for player 1 and coin for player 2. Or you can assign into the test mode whip switch, like I have here, and tap this one a bunch of times and you end up in test mode. There is some internal translation for some games, but yeah, we try to keep a streamlined input interface. Again, the game list is here. How to map the light gun? Tovarich can answer that one. I haven't really dealt with any of the light gun games. ¿Hay manera de jugar en los Tekken en una Play 2 y de crear una IO copia? No. No, porque las Play 2 Arcade tienen un montón de infraestructura diferente. No hay forma de jugar los Tekken Arcade en una Play 2 minorista. Sí, hay un binario para Linux. USB port, light gun. From there you change everything. Ah, it's in the USB port tab. Puerto USB. Che, no lo estoy encontrando, che. Let me check again. USB port light gun. Ah, light gun, acá está. Ok. Configuración del puntero, apuntado relativo. Bueno, acá here you have everything for the light gun games. Just check it out. Oh, so we are gonna wait a bit for the first public build tonight. It's already out. It's already out. This reminds me, I need to update the web page with the download buttons, but everything is here on the releases tab. If you don't know how to get to it, I will show you from incognito mode. So you just Google PCSX2x6 and then make sure that the first result will be most likely GitHub PS2 Homebrew Arcade-PCSX2x6. You click here, it opens up, you click in releases, and you take the latest version, and that's it. Brindarás ayuda en Discord para ejecutar los juegos de manera correcta. Me interesan los Tekken. Yes, sí, voy a ayudar en Discord. I'm so excited. Tekken 5 is finally running. Yeah, I have to update the compatibility list because I think the Tekken games were not updated because, well, the PR was not merged. Tekken 5. Yeah, it had issues before, so I should really update this thing. It was me that gave you a good eye reaction. Yeah, it's getting some reactions now. Let's give it mine too. Okay. So every new commit will bring up new changes. We will continue generically bumping up this number, and other releases will be kept stored here. I don't think we will hit up the GitHub storage cap, but yeah, we should be good to go with what we have so far. What made you decide to tackle this project? Well, the fact that there are very few people dealing with arcade boards made me interested in why there was no emulator, and then seeing the ad version from the PCSX2, from the official PCSX2 devs, I just said, nah, I'll do it myself. It was challenging. This is my first time dealing with an emulator, and Tovarich helped me a lot. Huge thanks to him. He sped up the process a lot. So basically 60% of the important changes that got us here are thanks to him. In regards of, well, he dealt with the light gun games. He implemented the overclock for both System246, 56 and Super 56. A lot of stuff has been done by him. I just did the initial infrastructure and got Soul Calibur 2 working. But most of the arcade inputs, overclock support and stuff has been done by Tovarich alone. Sí, va a haber guías. Este stream era básicamente para ir mostrándolo más o menos, y obviamente cualquier creador de contenido que le interese hacer un tutorial se puede comunicar conmigo en el Discord oficial. This stream was just a quick show up for everyone to give it a shot. Any content creator watching this that wants to make a tutorial or whatever should feel free to hop into the Discord and ask for pointers in regards of making tutorials. I will always be there to help you out. As you can see, the bot is already working. Good. So yeah, just well, Video Game Esoterica and Visor is they both are already here, so we have at least one English and one Spanish content creator to deal with spreading the word. So yeah, we got this kind of on tracks, but if you know any content creator that would like to come in and help, let them know. People should always leave a reaction if they download your GitHub to show support. Well, I can always add a tag to count downloads. Actually, let's check that right now. How many downloads we got in less than 2 hours? Badges. This is, vamos a copiar de acá, let's check it out. How many downloads we got? I will add this to the GitHub README, of course. I can find downloads, GitHub downloads, all assets, all releases. So we have 214 downloads so far overall. Pretty good. Is there a tutorial that tells you how to get the games working? I explained a bunch of things here in the stream, but eventually content creators will get around it. You have all the needed files, infrastructure and guides in regarding of running the games available. Only thing for you to deal with is getting used to setting up these games. But when you have the setting files ready, which are, as I showed you, really simple, just 11 lines of text, it should work well. And it's a more common design, not JSON like the Play emulator. De todo corazón, gracias. Thanks to you for being here. Matías, ¿vas a seguir trabajando con el emulador para los juegos que no son compatibles? Yes. My intention is to at least get like 70 or 80% of the platform playable. But of course, this is an emulator. This takes a lot of work. Most of the time when a game doesn't work or a feature doesn't work, it involves heavy reverse engineering, so it's quite time consuming. Especially now that we have a bunch of games working and the games left not working are mostly edge cases, complicated games and stuff. So yeah, it will take time, but eventually I want to support every game from the System246, 256 and Super 256. I might make a tutorial like the one I did for the Play emulator on YouTube, but I have a few questions. Can we talk privately? Yes, of course, just join the Discord server. The Discord server should be, let me check this here, 256. The Discord server is already in the description. Here you have Discord and the documentation page that of course it's kinda empty but will be eventually filled up as we go around. I'm already excited for the BG coverage. Of course not, I meant I saw him cover this too, with him posting the event. He also claimed he would be here to watch. He lied. Oh, he commented earlier, he was here. How long you worked on this emulator before you got it working? Good question. I can't remember. Let me check the history. Just myself. Let me check. I did some changes in advance last year. This is my only pull request to the official PCSX2 before I got banned. Changed the readme, merged upstream, did some stupid things like suppressing errors from the games, trying to find the developer flash, and well, I tweaked a bit the BIOS detection. These are all minor or cosmetic changes. The first actual line of code is here, when I first implemented a very crude infrastructure of the static RAM handling, which of course was kinda wrong, but it was the first piece of code I wrote for this emulator. So from December 10 up to now, you can see another change in December. Then there was nothing until March 12th this year, and from March 12th I started working on it more steadily. Then Tovarich joined, and this thing skyrocketed into what you are seeing right now and you are downloading. Would you be willing to collaborate with River to integrate your emulator into Technoparrot? River will probably fork this and integrate it himself. I just want to get games working. Yeah, there's kind of controversy with Technoparrot. I don't really want any controversies, especially because the PS2 community has suffered from what controversies can cause and drama, so I don't want anything to do with it. Whatever Technoparrot does, it's up to them. I will not collaborate, but I will not impede their work in any way, because this emulator is open source and it's GPL3 licensed, so I can't really do anything other than concentrate on what I'm doing here. So yeah, not much I can do about it, regardless of what the community thinks of them, because it's open source. I can't do anything about it, just like I can't do anything about my own projects, because most of them are open source with permissive licenses. I'm sorry I came down hard on you there. Could have worded that better. I'm already there. Send you a friend request. Excellent. I didn't know that. That's right. ¿Nos puedes brindar los AC Game en Discord de cada juego? Yes. I will eventually, as I showed you before, we have the proverb bootloader for every game. Soon in the Discord and maybe on GitHub too, you will find a pre-generated folder that will have the proverb bootloader and a generic AC game file for each game. That way you will only have to put down in here the game media file, be it an ISO, a HARD image or whatever, and put the security dongle into the memcards folder, then try the game and it should work. It will eventually happen. Just always remember this. This is a public alpha. There are a lot of things to do, a lot of work to do, ironing out, and a lot of stuff to deal with before we can call it a finished project. So small details like quality of life features for dealing with these setting files and other stuff will take some time, but such an essential and small piece of thing like this, I could make it tonight or tomorrow, I don't know, but just be patient, please be patient. We got this thing working in a matter of months. You've already waited years for this, so a bit of patience shouldn't hurt and should give us time to work on it steadily. But don't worry, we'll get to every detail that should benefit the community. Should it be quality of life features like this, or major changes like emulation of optional stuff like the card readers and stuff? We want to get into everything, just it takes a lot of time, so please be patient. We are on it. I'm not too keen on Technoparrot's monetization and paywalling. Well, this is open source, so you will always have a free version to come back to if they do fork and modify PCSX2x6. Yes, it's already there. You should be seeing it already. Go into the repository, releases, and it's there. or from the Discord server. No, the bot announcing the releases is just linking the pull request. I will modify it so it has a link to the download. Don't worry, I will get to it in a few moments. Thank you for your hard work. I tried it, but nothing works, unfortunately. Just be patient. Once you get around how to setting up the AC game files, everything will start working out of the box. It's just kind of confusing to set up compared to retail games, but you'll get used to it, don't worry. I like VG myself. I tried to boot in, but I don't found the exe. It should be there. I just downloaded one and it's here.
Hello, Moto.
Ok. Es ilusionante ver algo nuevo, no solo cambios básicos como los sistemas de siempre. Oh, December 2015, 2025. Last year you write code for it. Well done, thanks for your hard work to get it running. I love arcade versions. Anyone lining their pockets should feel ashamed with their half-baked emulation and charging for basic updates to games. I mainly see info, but not download links on the website. Will it change? It's already there on the release tabs. Go into the repository, releases, and it's here. I will update the website to have download buttons down here, but I couldn't link stuff that just came into exist midstream. I will eventually get to it. This is an alpha release. Just be patient. Saludos Isra, felicidades por tu trabajo. Muchas gracias. We've waited 15 years for this, so it won't hurt to wait a few months or maybe weeks. Taiko games are not working currently, mostly because of the inputs not being supported. But yeah, eventually. Bye bye. Every penny counts, it doesn't need to be hundreds of dollars. Taiko 1 has no public NAMCO 2 to 6 works. Hippo GitHub. Yes, he forked when I started working on it, but didn't merge up the changes, so you won't see releases there. Only Taiko Arcade that's nearest to me is that terrible Waidaco Master adaptation. That comment was in regards to Technoparrot, in case you're wondering. Which one? Did they dump after 14? Last Taiko game I see here is 14. So I can't really tell you of any further platforms or titles. Yeah, we'll eventually get to it. 2 hours already. Well, guys, I think it's enough for now. Sorry for the black screen shit back there. Everything, I tried to explain everything as best as I could. Sorry for the language barrier. And of course, you will eventually get better tutorials. Right now, from Video Game Esoterica and from Visor. So we have at least one English and one Spanish content creator covered up. Hard level might eventually pick this up for Brazilian speaking users, and well, that should be all. Oh, one last thing. you, the community, will be the one helping me out with this. Where the hell is it? I don't think it is right now. I might need help with the translations. Of course, this is a minor feature, a quality of life change, but it would be very, very cool if some of you could take a look at the translations and try out to translate what we have been adding. There's a lot of text that I need to encase, that I need to add into the translation system, but eventually it's something I would like to have for the emulator. So yeah, if you can take a snipe at the translation, I'll be very grateful. So I'll answer a few more questions and it will be all for today. Yo solo espero que no te agobien los babosos que quieran todo enseguida. Tu trabajo de por sí está durísimo. Ya vengo acostumbrado a que me exijan como si fuera un empleado en la comunidad homebrew de Play 2 desde que empecé prácticamente en el 2021, así que no es no es nada nuevo para mí. Así que bueno, esto es todo mi tiempo, esto es un hobby, no es un empleo. Si quieren algo más rápido, dónenme plata, ¿qué quieren que les diga? No poco, nada más. Half-baked emulation they change. Thanks for the stream. See you later, pal. See ya. Once for dump, it runs on PS3. Does the program come with a built-in DVD Reaper? I'd love to back up both my PS2 and PS3 games. But this has nothing to do with PS2 and PS3 games. System246 DVDs are just generic DVDs. You can dump them normally with any respectable program. Of course, the web page includes a few recommendations. I just wrote this poorly, but if you want the best tools available to get good dumps from your games, you can always go to redump.org. Not this wiki part. I can't remember exactly where, but redump.org has some articles regarding how to get good dumps. So useful links. Maybe it's here. You see main dumping tools. Let's see if they. Somewhere in redump.org there's a guide regarding making good dumps. I would like to reference that. These guys are doing an amazing job, so they should know their way around this thing. All good, you did well, and your English is impeccable. Don't worry about it. I know my English is not bad, but the thing is that since I've stopped learning English, taking English classes, I haven't had the opportunity to have constant chatters in English, so my pronunciation is just crap. Not because I'm bad at it, because I don't have really the chance to make speaking in English part of my life. Writing, in the other hand, I have that covered with Discord. So yeah, enjoy the games, people. Yeah, have fun. Thank you, Matthias. Please click with me on Discord. Yeah, sure, no problem. Just let me have caught this release. Keep making this thing as good as PCSX2 itself. Matthias and Debs, you have no idea how much we've contributed to the community again. Thank you. It's been an incredible year for emulation. It will be. As I told some people in Discord, this will be the year for PS2 emulation. Thinking about it this way, there are 4 main platforms, and only the Konami Python 2 had reliable emulation in the past. Now System246 is getting good emulation with this. Python 1 is being dealt with by Disco Stars Layer, and Iris Emulator has partial support for System147. So in the last year or so, we went from 1 out of 4 to almost 4 out of 4. So it's a good year for PS2 arcade emulation. It just takes time. Nada, durísimo, hermano. Esa fortaleza mental se agradece un montón. Obvio. Más que fortaleza mental diría costumbre, porque si me abruma mucho por ahí se pudre todo, pero no creo. I think EMG Burn... Ay, se perdió. No, pero se subió mucho por eso. I think IMG Burn is an old program, but might still be around. Yes, I have IMG Burn. Actually, the DVD I burned for Soul Calibur 2 to do the Conquest Card investigations, I burned it with this program and some generic Samsung SATA disk reader that I bought in internet, and it went pretty well. So I guess it should be good for damping, but I will let that to the experts in game media damping. Your pronunciation is perfectly understandable. You don't need an American accent to be fluent. Yes, of course, but I've been talking here for 2 hours and my mouth already hurts. If I was speaking in Spanish, that wouldn't happen. As I said, just no, I'm not used to it. Pregunta, ¿existe la posibilidad de desarrollar algo parecido a DKWDRV para Play 2 Fat en el futuro? No. No a la función que vos te estás refiriendo, que es que emule los juegos desde USB. Porque DKWDRV, para que haga esa función en las Play 2 Slim, se engancha de la memoria RAM extra que tiene el procesador PowerPC que está emulando el procesador de Play 1. En una FAT tenés el procesador de Play 1 original con solamente 2 MB de RAM, no 4 como el otro. Entonces no hay recursos extra para que se instaure esa infraestructura que hace eso posible. You have stiff competition with RPCS3. They are on fire right now. No logré arrancar ningún juego, jaja. ¿Puedes subir el emu con los archivos necesarios? Vas a necesitar conseguir por tu cuenta, porque no te puedo ayudar, la BIOS, la imagen de media, o sea CD o DVD del juego, y la memory card de seguridad. Y después configurar el archivo AC Game que estábamos mostrando acá, que es una configuración para que el emulador sepa todo lo que necesita de ese juego para arrancarlo. Yes, I'm from Argentina, Buenos Aires. I've been living here all my life. What was the peak? Peak here, right? Oh, 160. That's quite good for my streams. But yeah, this project deserved the attention, really. I hope it spreads more and more as things go on. Okay. This is it for now. Guys, thank you for staying. Sorry for the shit mess with the black screen back then. I hope you get around the arcade game settings. Of course, I will try to create generic ones for you to deal with it easily. But yeah, I can't find the word. Content creators will eventually pick this up and try to make it more understandable to you. So yeah, thank you to all of you and have fun with the emulator. It's for you after all.